Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toplofty Lounge, episode 107 Conversations for the Elevated. Welcome to all my fellow snobs. I am your host, Science Fiction Snob. This week on the program, it's movie night, and we're looking at the Animatrix 2003 movie, a couple of short stories from the Matrix, that quite large IP. But before we get into that, let me introduce my co-host, the man who lives in a matrix of his own. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, sci-fi fans.
Good evening. Yes. Hello, everyone. Now, who's in the chat? Let's recognize who do we have here. We've got, Outpost Nerd is in the chat. Weatherman's in the chat. I'm glad to see you making an appearance. Oh, and he gives us one membership. We appreciate that. Weatherman, thank you very much for supporting the program. Captain Cat is in the chat. But doing ninja, I guess. That's good. And Death Angel Shadow is listening from Central New York. He's not in Tennessee, Central New York today. All right. Coming back, or sorry, he's in the middle of his, it's another trip, Cam, that's correct?
Yes.
Wrapping up some business. All right. Well, that's him as well. All right. Okay, good. All right. Awesome.
Just a quick note. Just for public service purposes, the Tennessee Tabletop Tavern has been rebranded to be the Bad News Bards channel.
Well, no wonder I had trouble finding it.
Yes.
All right. Okay, great. All right, awesome. I saw Bad News. I'm like, what's going on? All right, that's good. Okay, let's get into it. Before we get into the main part of the program, let's talk a little bit about, give people a chance to jump in. Now, I have some bad news. Cam survived a weather event this week. Is that correct, Cam? Wait a second. That sounds bad. I have some bad news, but also Cam survived a weather event. That sounds much better that way.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. You want to tell us a bit about that?
Not really.
No? Nothing.
We had some bad weather. Much of the U.S. had some bad weather last several days, and it was a close call.
Close call. You want to know? Nothing.
No, I don't want to go into specifics about it, but all is well. Though it was I suffered very little damage, a little bit of tree damage, but not much else. So it could have been bad, but was not. So thank God for that.
All right. Okay. So I guess it wasn't that bad. All right. Well, okay. So should I do my bad news first?
That's what close call means.
Oh, okay. Well, close call. I mean, all right.
Sure. Yeah. Let's hear your news. You got goose news?
I've got some.
Oh no.
Bad news.
Oh no.
The geese have abandoned the nest.
Oh boy.
And here it is, a shot I took today. You can see one egg. There were 4 or 5 eggs originally we saw. And they left about, once they go for like 2-3 days, they're gone for good. And I took they've been basically missing for about 6 days or something now. They just took off, and there's one little egg. They've abandoned the nest, and the egg will of course not be viable. So don't know what happened. I don't think it was a bird attack, because usually birds can't carry eggs. They would crush them or do something. We'd see stuff around, the site, cracked shells or something. So we think it was either, a coyote, or maybe the neighbor's dog, who apparently likes to take eggs and bring them home. No, we didn't see the dog, but the dog did come in our backyard and gave him a little scare last week. So it could be that, I don't know where the eggs went, but just could be, too many times the dog comes by and the goose are like, we're out of here. So I will not be a grandpa this year, at least, anyway. Maybe next year. All right. Sad news. All right. So, let's start the show on a high note. So, Cam, did you have a couple things that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I did indeed. Well, spoiler. I'm not that into the Animatrix as it turns out, so I'm not going to have a ton
What?
to say about it. Yeah, so
Oh,
I figured, we
come
sometimes talk about
on.
other topics, so it's within that realm. If you'll indulge me, if the chat will indulge me. So the first thing is I played a new game this week, a new board game this week.
Oh,
This is actually, and I sent you a link. If you could bring that up, we could show it.
what is the name of this board game?
The game is called Heat Pedal to the Metal, and it is a racing game, which you see here, kind of laid out. They're now okay. So this is a game that's been out for about 4 years. It came out in 2022, and then they put out expansions. I think they're on the 4th expansion now. And this is a game I bought for my brother, who is a racing fan. And
Write that down. Cam has a brother.
right, I've already mentioned him before, but I bought it for him. I don't think it was this past Christmas, the Christmas before probably, and well, he never got to say, and I'm like, dude, let's play this game. And well, actually, some time back, his birthday, he had a birthday, and I bought him an expansion for it, kind of as a screw you, kind of as a sticking it to him because he hadn't played the first one.
Yeah. He was going to sell it for money. There's Cam and his brother playing.
Oh, that's right. That's us and my my auntie there. You can guess which one I am. But anyway, go back to the actual photo if you would.
Oh, I'm just going through the. All right, you want to go back? All right.
Yeah.
That one.
No.
First one.
Yes. So finally, I'm like, hey, let's play this game. So we got this game out and played it, and there were 4 players total, and everyone after we played like the sample game, they're like, this game is awesome. let's play it again, because the sample one was just kind of teach it to you, and so we played again and had an absolute blast with this. I wouldn't call myself a racing fan,
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of race events in my life, not a lot, but recently, but as a kid, and I don't know. There's something about this game. It just hit. It was like it was super tight. The action and everything. Like the game we played, I ended up winning, haha. But it was super close. I mean, like all the players were on it at the very end, and it was like had the excitement of watching a close race. So they really captured it well. And we're just playing like the basic version. In which, and I'll just explain very briefly, you kind of, if you see on the little player boards there, like the right side, you got like have a gear shifter, and basically you could go up and down between gears, and that determines how many cards you play, and the cards you play determines how far you go. Right. Yeah. Like you can see the little blue thing there is your gear shifter or whatever. You move up and down.
Yeah.
And the game is you can't just go hog wild with it. It's like, oh, I'm just going to go real fast, because you have the heat mechanic, which is basically your resource. And if you get too much, you're in trouble. And if you don't get you don't have enough to use, you're in trouble. And like the turns, you can see like there's a number like
next to the turn. On the turns.
And that's basically right.
Turn's got a 3.
Yeah,
and that you can't go any higher than that gear.
Well, it's the speed you can go, so if you exceed that speed, you have to pay it in heat, and which is really bad because again, if you don't plan your whole race properly and you're getting to the turn and then getting past the turn and someone can leapfrog you and there's all these different mechanics and things, it is just a really well-designed game to represent racing. And I've read through the advanced rules, which allows you to like customize your car, like so you could have different features, like your car is better at one thing than another, and so on and so forth. And this the main box set here has 4 different maps, different tracks you can play on. There's like a campaign mode. You could play solo with this, or you could play bot cars. They're called legends in the game, basically AI drivers. Even if you have more than one player, if you have 4, any number of players, you could add bots up to the maximum, which the base box has 6 maximum, but it goes to, I think, at least 8 with expansions, maybe more. and it was just really fun. So it's like, hey, I'm gonna delve deep into this and turn into a regular game night kind of thing. And it's the other cool thing about it, which I have more of an affinity for, is of course before my time, but the game is set like in like 1961. That's what the starting game is. It's like, and you can like play seasons like 1961, 62, 63, and then the expansions then go to 64, 65, etc. So you can do all these things. So this is the Roadster era of cars, and this is supposed to be Grand Prix cars. But yeah, just really surprisingly good. Again, race games, I'm like, yeah, what are you gonna do? Roll and move? Come on, this is lame.
Yeah.
This is playtest stuff they're showing here. Clearly, this is not the complete game.
Yeah. I wouldn't be a big fan of this type of thing normally, but sometimes very simple games can be really fun, and
exactly
get a lot out of it.
Exactly, it is pretty simple when it comes down to it, but the gameplay really works. And one thing that I really enjoy generally in games is variable player powers. Which means that what you do as your bot or your character, whatever, isn't exactly the same as everyone else's. The game doesn't have that to begin with, but with the car modifications, it'll add that in. So, and you can either do it just by dealing them out, or you could do a draft mechanic for it. So, you're putting out the things and then you draft, and then you do 3 rounds of that. So you have like 3 modifications to your car, and then you're kind of playing to your strengths, and I didn't delve into the expansion necessarily, but they have, they're adding, I think, at least 2 new tracks per expansion. And they have things like weather conditions and other interesting things, that they're expanding. So it's really cool. So it's not sci-fi because it's in the past. Obviously it's set in the past, and it's not super science, it's conventional science, but still worth a mention. And if anybody's interested in this at all, you might want to check it out.
All right, good. Welcome, JT. Welcome. We're not into the main topic yet, just going on. Oh, and you said, Cam, you had something else?
Yes, just quick outsport. Are the tracks based on real tracks? I'm not sure about that because I'm not all that familiar with them, but I think some of them might be. And they do have like Mexico and Europe and various places in Europe. So they might be based on Grand Prix tracks of the era, but I'd have to confirm that. Yeah,
well, here are the main tracks here.
Yeah, these are the ones that come in the base set.
I don't, I'm not a big racing. I don't think they're the real tracks because they look kind of, basic, right? Like I don't think they would be.
I mean,
twists and turns,
They might be.
Maybe. Could be wrong.
I'd have to look it up. But okay, the other subject is a little more depressing, I think, but but a little more related to futuristic kinds of sci-fi things. And I talked about this offline a little bit with some of our friends, and the I on the X, I had some response to some idiot. I just literally it was 2 words. I just quipped back. A content-free mouthing off kind of post, and then I'm sitting there and I'm starting to get all these notifications, and this was last night, and I'm like, well, this has got like 50 responses or 50 likes or something, and I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then I'm going on, and it's going on, and then it's like 200, 300, 400. It's now at 4,900 likes for this meaningless response.
For your personal response.
Yes. And it occurred to me that this has nothing, again, there's nothing to particularly cheer this or not. And, so I actually asked, I said, why is this getting such a response? And it goes through these things. It says, oh, this or that. But it was incorrect because it's like, oh, it was a very early reply to a viral post or something. It wasn't. It came like 7 hours after the initial post. There were already like 2,000 other responses to it. And I went through and I asked Grok to analyze it. And it's like there are a few others that have a lot of responses, but it's like the top 0.1% or something of um, engagement. And again, this is not a humble brag of any sort. This is an embarrassment because I post other things that I think are meaningful, and you're lucky if you get 2, 3 likes or whatever, and this one somehow takes off, which is to say that this is just some algorithmic blip that it caught and got put in front of a ton of people, and a certain percentage of people that see something are going to like it, right? I mean, that's all this is. But the reason I wanted to mention this is it's to say that anything that you do say that you think is meaningful, or an actual attempt to talk to somebody about something, is inevitably going to be buried in some idiocy like this. It just happens to me, my post, that this happened to at this time, but I'm sure this happens to all kinds of posts that are promoted and put in front of people and are literally meaningless. Nothing I said there, 2 words, is relevant to anybody in the long run. Yet it is several thousand times more promoted than the best post I've ever made on X. And so this is how our world is being influenced today, right? By this sort of nonsensical, random algorithm garbage. So that's pretty alarming. I find this whole thing very depressing. And again, it's related to AI and all this kind of thing. So yeah, there's that.
Okay. So wow.
Happy,
happy, joy. Yay.
Okay, but do you understand why it's like, how many hours do we spend on making a live stream trying to make an interesting discussion about something? Nothing.
Right.
I mean,
we research, we dig in deep, we try to give, but it doesn't get engagement.
Right,
and that's basically what you're saying. Well, I mean, it gets some engagement, but
it took me 5 seconds to tweet that out, and it has more engagement than we've ever had on any video that we've made on this channel.
Maybe combined.
Maybe. It's really again, I don't want to be a downer or anything, but this is alarming. This is what will govern people's views, is by what's pushed out to them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not really that surprising because people have long been, they are ruled mainly by their emotions, right? Politicians know this. If you've got somebody who comes on and says, gives you a logical reason why a certain policy, should be or whatever, that will not hit as hard as someone who makes an emotional appeal, right? For a policy,
right?
Think about, what will this do to grandma? We're helping grandma, or that policy's killing grandma. Grandma, we don't want to kill grandma, so don't try so hard next time. Yeah. Oh, Ken blipped. All right. Don't try so hard next time. Yeah.
Blipped.
All right. Yeah. I mean, it's I guess we just got to go and find the best stuff that we can, and follow it, and if the people that are there appreciate what you're doing, maybe that's enough. Let's say hello to who else? I missed a few people jumped in here. Gap After Dark, good to see you. JT, I think I said hi to you already. Awesome. So we got a couple more that came in. That's great. Okay, so what have I been doing to increase my sci-fi snobbery lately? I've been watching a little bit of Lex. I don't think you like that show.
I've never actually watched it, so
it's a little unusual. It's pretty old. It's been around a long. It's a little bit weird. I thought it's been a while. I thought I'd get back into it a little bit.
It never appealed to me, so I was kind of.
It's a little bizarre. I do find the world, the universe that's shaped there, somewhat interesting. I mean, they don't get into it a lot, but it's 2 universes: the dark universe and the light universe, and the shadows have come into the light. The shadow is ruling the light universe, sort of, and the dark universe is full of chaos and nothingness. But I'm like, but all the evil guys are in the light universe. What are you talking about? It's a pretty dark, setup for humanity in the way it's done. But it's mainly about the story about, a couple of weird characters. Stanley Tweedle, a loser who gets, command of this ship, the most powerful ship in the two universes, which can easily destroy planets. And then a guy, an assassin who's already dead, a robot head who's in love with the main girl, and the girl she was programmed to be a sex slave, but it's also mixed up with a worm. Lex is one of the most weird shows I've ever seen. Yeah, it's pretty weird. Yeah, I've seen it before. I've seen Lex before. I'm just sort of getting back into it. I'm like, I'll give it a try. Because I didn't watch the whole thing straight through, but I'm fairly familiar with it. I know what the deal is. It's not going to surprise me. But I'm trying to go through from the beginning again, just something to do. Yeah. All right. So and did you do anything, Cam? Books, movies?
Yeah, I dragged my way through the Animatrix.
What's wrong with the Animatrix? It's not bad. What do you mean? It's good. All right. I was going to do a couple of these. Another one. There's another one by Halo. There's a Halo Legends. It's also, I don't know. You might not like that one either. All right. Well, let's do this one. Let's go to it. All right. I've got some information. So let's get started on the main topic that all of you have come here for. So the Animatrix. It is 2003 compilation of 9 different short stories that were made. Do you know how it came to be, Cam? How they got this?
I remember vaguely. It was like it was made by a bunch of independent people. It's not necessarily a canon thing, right? It's kind of like, here, what's your take on this? Right.
Okay. Your comment about supporting each other is glossed over. What comment was that? I didn't see any comment about supporting people.
I don't know what you mean.
I missed something. All right. I missed something. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway. So, sorry, what were you saying? 2003.
Mm-hmm.
The Wachowski brothers, who are now the Wachowski sisters, I guess.
Not really, but sure.
Well, they're calling themselves that.
Right.
They came to. They were doing promotions for the first Matrix movie in Japan, and a lot of the stuff, a lot of the Matrix, the original movie, they took a lot of inspiration from Japanese anime. So they're in Japan. They're making doing promo, and they meet a bunch of Japanese animation studios, artists, that kind of thing, and they basically say to them, "Hey, you guys want to make a whole bunch of short films about it's set in the Matrix?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, we'll put it out as a movie." The one about literally the one above my Lex comment. Okay, so here's the Lex comment, and the one above that is about how America has been influenced by China. Yeah, I put that on there. So they go to a couple of animation studios. They're like, yeah, sure, we want to do that. So of the 9 stories, 4 of them are written by the Wachowskis, written by them, and those are the 4 that are directly related to the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other ones are written by the studios themselves. So they wrote them.
Which 4 are those?
Do you want to guess?
Well, I guess the Second Renaissance.
Yes, the 2 parts of the Second Renaissance. That's 2 of them.
Kid's Story.
Yes.
And Final Flight of the Osiris.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Correct. So, So let's start with Final Flight of the Osiris. Cam, what do you think about the? We'll do maybe talk about the animation style, and then we'll go into the story. What are your thoughts on the first one? Was Final Flight of the Osiris? What are your thoughts about the animation style?
I'm sorry, of which one?
Final Flight of the Osiris. We'll go in order. So first one on the disc is Final Flight of the Osiris. And then...
Okay, mine weren't in that order.
Oh, they weren't?
When I watched it. No, I didn't watch it on
Really?
disc though. I watched it on YouTube actually.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, the first one was the Second Renaissance for when I watched it, but that's okay.
Well, yeah,
so
on the
this
disc,
was
on the disc. Final Flight of the Osiris is first, and then it goes the same order.
Okay. This was the one with the 3D animation, right?
Yeah, it looked more like it looked more like a video game, more towards the realistic sense. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I started to watch it and I'm like, oh, this is 2003. What's this going to look like? And it certainly doesn't look as advanced as now, but it didn't look bad. It was, fairly early 3D animation, I'd say. And I thought it was all right.
Yeah, this was actually, I think this was my least favorite animation style of all the stories. It was kind of closer towards the realistic and kind of video gamey, advanced video game, but I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was just somewhat I like, if I'm watching anime, I want a little more, maybe a stylized version or something that's a little more unusual. So this didn't jump at me compared to some of the other ones. Upos says, we learn about the world of the Matrix. We learn, I think you mean more about the world of the Matrix in the Animatrix than we do the movies. There's some truth to that. We learn a little bit about.
Well, that's a good point.
We'll get into
it. Because of that is why this would typically appeal to me more, because I like that world building background kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I did, there are some parts that I'm like, okay, that's interesting, but anyway,
didn't hit as hard. All right, okay. So, Final Flight of the Osiris, the story. Do you want to summarize the story, or you want me to do
it? No, you go ahead.
Okay, so this is a pretty interesting. So this story is referenced in the beginning of the Matrix Reloaded. It's one of the first things that they reference in that movie. They say, we got this from the Osiris, and what it is it's a the story starts out with they're obviously in the simulation. The fighting simulation, similar to what we see in the first Matrix movie. These two are obviously have some sort of affair. They're lovers or something going on, because they're fighting and using swords, but they're purposely they're blindfolded, and they're purposely trying to not cut each other, but cut parts of each other's clothing off, which is kind of it's kind of an interesting thing. Like if you were, you could see humans maybe doing that sort of thing. So the two characters are Captain Thaddeus and Jew, who are, they're having this fight, a male and a female. And then the Osiris has to avoid some sentinels. They flee into an uncharted tunnel, and they find a small groups of sentinels patrolling the area. They go up and they see these digging machines. And the captain says, hey, what are they doing? Oh, they're digging. Okay, well, wait a second. Where are they? Oh, they're right. They're 4 miles. Zion is 4 miles below. So this is the start of the Matrix Reloaded, of course. So that they're seen. They have to flee while they're fighting off. The ship is flying through and fighting off the sentinels. June, who's I guess their best, their Neo, she's going to go into the Matrix, and she's going to drop off this information at her Dropbox. She successfully does that. So you've got two things going on. They're flying through, shooting at the sentinels, dodging. Machines are attacking. People are getting killed. Meanwhile, she's running around, and she finally makes the drop off. And just as that happens, we everyone on the ship is dead except for Thaddeus. He's there, firing at the machines, and she calls him and says Thaddeus just before the ship explodes, killing the Sentinels, the crew, and of course she's dead because she's in the Matrix and she was still attached. I mean, she would have been dead anyway because the ship blew up. Yeah. But that's the storyline. Your thoughts on the story? Yeah,
I thought it was okay. It's kind of a a prelude story,
right?
About another crew. That we eventually learn that there are more. I don't. To be honest with you, I haven't seen the Matrix in a while, so I'm not all that fresh on. Yeah, right. It's been a long time. I don't. In fact, I don't know that I've seen it since the. I don't even remember if I saw the third movie at this point. I know I saw the first two. Yeah, the bloom came off of it real quick.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just isn't. But I can't argue that it's not relevant because it probably is in terms of all this AI crap going on. But I thought it's fine. It was a fairly simplistic story. It seemed there more to show off the animation than anything. So
it does set that it is part of the lore because it's referenced in the movie, and it's actually it's the prologue to the video game Enter the Matrix, which was a MMO style video game that lasted a couple years, was fairly popular, but then fell off, I guess. And I mean, it was closed down a couple years after. But yeah, so I enjoy this one. It's a good little bit. It's nice, they reference something in the movie, and they've got it planned out to a certain extent. So yeah.
What Outpost learn, or is that older? Did we already address that? Learn more about the world of Matrix than we do in the movies. Yeah, I do remember when I saw this originally, I was like, yeah, I like this more than the movies, because again, it had that kind of background stuff that I tend to like.
Cam's a fan of, yeah. All right. Okay. Next, we have the next two ones are the Second Renaissance, Part 1 and Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
go ahead.
We'll just put them all together.
Right? Yeah.
So the first part. You want to go ahead?
Well, I was going to say it feels like a full-on prequel, kind of thing. It's like here's if this is to be believed, it's like this is how we got where we're,
Right. So I mean, first of all, this is related to us by the machines. Machines are narrating this, so we don't know if it's true, but we don't. There's no reason to suspect it's not. It does sound reasonable based on other stuff that we know. But so this goes on about the well, let's stick with the plan here. What do you think about the animation style?
I saw about 5 or 6 different styles here, so I'm trying to recall it. This is, to me, it seemed kind of like 80s anime, kind of like
drawn
Akira or
2D sort of style,
or even heavy metal. That's not Japanese, but heavy metal, that style kind of, a fairly old style. Old at this point, I guess. Which I think was good. I thought it worked for this particular story, and just generally, I have some affinity to that. Again, being an early non-kid, I don't want to say adult, but non-kid animation style.
Yeah. Outpost Nerd says it's the Zion Archive, not the machine narrating this part. That's not what I have. I have that it's been narrated by the Archive of the Machines. So I'm not. Could be wrong. My information could be wrong, but that's what I have. So it basically shows the developing of artificial intelligence from the mid 21st century. Humans built a sentient AIs. About the year 2090, B166ER, which I think is an alias for bigger. I don't know. Bigger looks like. But 2090, he overhears that he's going to be, deactivated. He kills his owner and his owner's family and the dog and that sort of thing, and of course is charged with murder. Right? I thought this was strange, Cam, because I mean, if you believe that a robot is not sentient, why would you charge it with murder? Right? You don't.
Yeah.
You don't charge a gun that shoots somebody, right? So if the robot, by charging the robot with murder, you're saying that it is sentient and it does have the rights of a human. But
that's right. It was very contradictory.
Yeah, but they prosecute it and they say, oh, they prosecute it for murder, and then they say, oh, you're guilty, and you're destroyed. So that was a little bit.
Yeah, and right there, because they had like the footage, like security footage or whatever, showing the incident, and it's like it killed the cats. I'm like, I'm not a cat lover or anything in particular, but I was like, destroy it and everything like it. That was my sentiment right there. It's like this, because it's like, because again, it was like, oh, it was defending itself, right, against the cats. But were the cats going to destroy it or whatever to it? So it's like right there, it was like this is an evil machine, right? You lost me completely for wherever else you were going with this when they showed that. So I was like, nope, full Butler and Jihad, destroy them all. So I don't know what they were trying to portray with this, but they lost me right there.
It says the big debate set off the entire fall of man in the Matrix world. There was a big debate about it, for sure, in the world.
Yeah, and that's what they do portray.
I don't know if this is the start of the fall, or maybe it's what happens right after.
It's what led to it, right? I mean,
well, it led to it, sure. Because what happens right after is they do what Cam wants.
Yes.
And fearing a robot rebellion, governments around the world do a mass purge of robots. Millions of robots are demolished, destroyed. The ones that survive set up a new nation in the desert, which is called 01. 01 prospers. Its technological sophistication increases swiftly. They produce a highly advanced AI and offer a bunch of global consumer products. People buy their stuff. Their economy, 01's economy flourishes. The rest of the human nations decline. Eventually, global industry becomes concentrated in 01, which leads to a global stock market crash. No, I meant what you said, some about why did they charge it with a crime? That was the fall of man. Why they charging it with a crime? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, could be.
I see what he's saying. And then he said
that was a mistake they made.
Well, I think that's the point he's making is you start. Yes, that's a fundamental mistake. You're treating this object as a being, a living being, when it's not. And then his other comment was, when did the machines become?
If it's got the ability to decide to murder people, then I'd say that it perhaps does have, sentience, right?
Well, it has the ability to make a decision. Yeah. But when did the machines become a? Oh, for fuck's sake!
All right, sorry. When did the machines become
a race? Is what he was saying, and that's a good question. But and it seems like, oh, how absurd! But there are people out there now that say that animals should have the same rights as humans, meaning things like trials, not just not the PETA thing where it's like, oh, they're you shouldn't kill them or whatever. It's like, no, they should have other rights and things too. It's like, oh, no, it's an animal and it's not a human and but that's a real thing. So this is kind of an extension of that, and I'm sure there would be people out there today that would say that AI or whatever is alive and it should have the world is filled with weirdos. So
I just said it was appliance. No, I said that they were making appliances, global consumer products. I don't think I said it was an appliance.
Well, I'm not sure if you used the word appliance, but you basically said, why would you charge a machine that has, like you said, why if it's like be charging a gun?
If it's if it is a sentient being, then it should be charged with murder. But if it isn't, then, you know, if a rock falls on, you know, if I'm walking the forest, a tree falls on me and kills me, you don't charge a tree with murder, right? It's not a sentient thing. Yeah. So the UN Security Council calls an emergency summit. They put an embargo and military blockade of 01. The machines send ambassadors saying, "Hey, we want to belong to the United Nations." They're rejected, and the human nations agree to the blockade. And, you know, in this show, of course, they rip apart the two ambassadors sent to negotiate to go to the UN.
I kind of
not our finest hour, Kim.
Well, see, that was a very manipulative scene, right? It's like they show up and they're all dressed up, in their top hat and whatever, and they're like a couple, and they're so right. It's like they just want to be friends, and it's like, yeah,
that was obviously a manipulation, I think, on
yes,
part of the machines to try to make them look. They should have made them look a cute, fluffy dog. That would have been better. Anyway.
Okay, well. Without getting into the subject, I saw some propaganda today that's of a very similar nature. So once again, I can't argue that the things being portrayed here aren't very relevant to today, because there are people that are presenting bizarre things as normal all the time and saying, but we just, want X, Y, or Z, when the reality is much different. So, again, I'd love it if we had robots that were friendly and wouldn't want to murder you at the first sign and then kill your pets also. But we already saw that demonstrated. So once again, kind of undercutting, the later portrayals. And maybe they're trying to do that in this piece, right? It's like they're showing these kind of weird, contradictory scenes and making you, say, well, this is weird. Why, that doesn't add up. But I don't know.
I think it's probably just a bit of a mistake in the story, that it's just they didn't really think that part. The whole idea is that, they're sentient.
Well, I mean,
we reject their sentience. That's the whole thing. It's. I think the writer is kind of trying to say, look at humans. We made a mistake. We reject their. We were evil. We rejected them as thinking beings when we should have, accepted.
Well, there's some other scenes too that are pretty brutal, right? It's portraying the humans as being like these horrific oppressors. Yeah, I mean, like there's one an android. It was like a robot that was meant to look like a human,
female,
right? And they're basically
tearing her apart,
right, literally, and bashing her brains in and such. And so again, I'm not sure what message
they're shooting the robots execution style in the head.
Oh yeah, right. They have like a full-on genocide kind of.
Yeah, this is the part. That's the fearing a robot rebellion. They purge the robots. This is before 01 is enacted, right? So yeah. So that's the first Renaissance. The second, that's the second Renaissance, part one. Part two happens starts in 2148. So it's 50 years since the first since the murder. So there's been a 50-year time frame where the humans have spent however long destroying the robots. 01 has been established, and it's grown into this global economic power. So right after the humans reject that, the United Nations releases an all-out nuclear bombardment against 01. Devastating them, but failing to destroy them completely. The machines respond by declaring war on humanity, and one by one, the human nations surrender. There's lots of Christian apocalyptic imagery in this story. Yeah, I would agree. There's a lot of Christian imagery throughout the Matrix, the story. The Christ-like figure and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of that.
Well, can I mention something about 01? This is not an uncommon thing, or at least I've seen it a few times, where it's like, this rejected portion of society or whatever goes and they create their paradise that is superior and da da da. It's like that typically doesn't happen.
They didn't suggest it was superior, just that it was there.
Well, sure it was. It was their economy was superior, and all of
Yeah.
the humans' failure to, you know, engage with them led to human economy declining.
Well, no, I don't think that. I didn't take that way. I saw. I mean,
Well, what do you mean? It was what
any
was that's what
economy
was in.
run by machines is going to be superior. They don't need to sleep or eat or
Okay,
take
so it is
breaks.
superior,
I mean, they're going to be more efficient. At least
right?
we got to sleep and eat and rest and stuff. I mean, they're going to be. It's going to be more
Okay,
efficient.
okay. So it is it being portrayed as superior or not?
It's economically superior, and they suggest that they innovate more. So I guess perhaps they are more creative or innovative than we are in a sense. You think that maybe we would be better in that area, but it doesn't seem to be in this telling of the story.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, there's a war. One by one, human nations are surrendering. Humans, and this is where humans scorch the sky, as is said in the first movie. Operation Darkstorm, cover the sky in a shroud of darkness, which is the craziest thing. It's just like, wow.
Is it because we have psychopaths talking about blotting out the sun today?
I know. It's just
holy crap. So I guess this is extremely relevant, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the stupidest thing. It's like, okay, block out the sun. We don't need that.
See, but okay,
it's like Mr. Burns level of
right.
Since the beginning of time, man has yearned to destroy the sun. Okay, really?
Yes, exactly. And okay, so the thing about this whole thing is they're basically and again, if it's this is the narrative of the machines, I don't remember which one it was, then you would have to take that into account. But it's basically a very clear oppressor, versus the oppressed kind of thing that they present here, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And so again, outside of what relevance we might assign to it in relation to the real world, this is a kind of a simplistic story, right? This is these poor machines, they just want to be treated equally and blah blah blah, and then okay, to me that seems kind of trite, even at the time.
Yeah.
2003, it wasn't a new idea, I mean,
initially in the with the B166ER, there is some humans who side with the machines. There's protests and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Side with the machines, right?
Yes. Once again, there will always be some psychopaths,
traitors
that side with whatever evil is out.
Suicidal empathy.
Yes.
So the fight carries on. Blocking the sun, depriving the solar energy. The fight continues on, but humanity is losing. 01 is deploying more advanced robots, and the machines start using human prisoners for bioelectric power, combined with a type of fusion. Overwhelm, the humans surrender, and of course the last scene of the I guess not quite last, but there's at UN headquarters, the representatives 01 sign terms of surrender, humans surrendering, and then activate a thermonuclear bomb, destroying the headquarters, New York City, and the last of human leadership. Then you see the machines building this massive bioelectric power plants with humans are used as living batteries, and of course they plug them into the Matrix.
Yeah,
and we have the start of the movie.
Can I mention something there that bothered me from the very beginning? And that is the whole idea of the human power source is non-scientific, let's say, or does not hold up to scientific scrutiny. And it's such to the point, it's so bad. It's not even like, oh, well, yeah, maybe with some advancements, it's not. No, it's well,
they in the movie, they say combined with a form of fusion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
it's very hand wavium, you know.
well,
Like,
if you have the fusion, you don't need the humans at that
yeah.
point.
Do
You
we
know,
need the
I mean,
humans if we have the
I mean
fusion?
that's just
I
stupid.
mean,
Plus, the whole thing, it's like, oh well, they depended mainly on solar power. Why?
well, because solar power is free and it doesn't,
So
you know,
it would be
you make
nothing
a
for machines could easily have nuclear energy, right?
yes,
I
yes.
mean, and then you, like you said, fusion energy. So it's like, no, this is just stupid. The whole concept is stupid.
I mean,
If they
yeah. I
would have
mean,
had something like,
nuclear power is a little bit more complicated than solar. You know, slap up. I mean, it takes a little bit to manufacture the panel, but slap it up, and it's good to go, and it just keep giving you power. Now they're not very efficient, of course.
no,
You know, and machines would need a huge amounts of power.
yes,
But yeah, you know, it's a little bit. Yeah, I'll post there. Cam, that's a long held criticism of the film. Yeah, that's the main. Yeah, human. I don't
no.
think.
Oh, that
humans,
yes, yeah,
yeah,
okay,
the
sure,
human. I don't
right.
think you could. You know, I think it would. I think someone said it would cost more energy to, you know, keep the human body using the warrant. You know,
Yes.
than it would take to, you know, you would get out of it.
Now it would
Plus
have
the
been,
fact that you got to keep their mind busy in this matrix, which obviously is
well,
going to
see,
use
that would have been the
electricity or something as
better.
well.
That would have been the better concept if the machines somehow needed the human brain power and their creativity or something that made the virtual, I don't know, something different. But the whole concept is stupid, from the get-go. Again, with the sci-fi thing, soft sci-fi kind of deal, you can accept some of that, but that's one of the reasons I don't really like it. Yeah, it's not something that holds up well for me, personally. um but yeah, I'm sure I wasn't the only one when the movies came out that said that doesn't make sense, in regards to the human batteries.
Yeah, you're saying all that. None of this makes sense. But then tomorrow, when you wake up in your biopod, you'll be, oh, it was all real.
Well, it's much more likely that I would be a digital circus character, that I'm just completely a program. Everything is a simulation rather than
Yeah.
I'm a real person stuck in some pod, kind of thing.
Okay. So story
Yeah.
overall. I mean, this is
Yeah.
okay. We were accepting that the world of the Matrix is true. This is just giving us background.
Yeah, in form, I like this kind of story, and I remember liking it back then. This was the Second Renaissance 1 and 2 was the story that I liked most and thought was better than the movies. But today it doesn't hold up all that well. I mean, I guess it's okay as its own little vignettes, two of them, but it's attached to really flawed stuff. So I don't really care, one way or the other about it, to be honest with you.
I like the animation style. I mean, I liked it initially too because we were all wondering, hey, how do we get from here to there, right? When we started watching the Matrix movies, the Matrix movie, the first one, you're like, how did we get to where we, there's just hints. We scorched the sky. We think it's 200 years since. So there's not, a lot.
See, I would have taken that to mean like, oh, they blew up the world with a nuclear war, because humans are evil. That's what I would have taken from that initially.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I mean, I like this one, these two initially. Well, good background, and of course, written by the Wachowskis because it's part of the, it's part of the their background lore. All right, Cam, can you take the show for a second here?
Sure.
Back in a minute here.
I will be happy to. So, okay, let's just talk about this one. I did these two. I did think, even though I pick it apart in the end, I do think that the story was these two stories were good for kind of the visceral reaction kind of thing. It did a decent job of presenting that propagandist view. It's like, oh, this poor robot that killed everybody, including the cats, just wanted to survive. It's like, it hits on a certain level that it causes you to think about it at least. Now I rejected that very quickly again because the cat thing. It's like your defense doesn't hold up because the cats couldn't have possibly harmed the machine. But Outpost it doesn't hold up. Come on, like you don't think that's a reasonable criticism, or you think it never held up? But I do appreciate the backfilling. Trying to make sense of a story and that setting stuff. As I said, I do appreciate. And the other ones, the other stories, I think are less than this. Some of them don't make a lot of sense at all. So really, I guess the Second Renaissance Part 1 and 2 are the highlights. But again, I'm just not that big of a fan of the Matrix, so it's kind of hard to be excited about it. Sorry, everybody. Just let me give you an update. My stupid post is now over 5,000 likes, which, man. Okay, the Outpost, you say, I think it's one of the best stories. It was visually stunning and answered so many questions we didn't get to answer in the movies. I agree. I think that is fair, and that parallels what I think about it. I definitely think it was the strongest of the stories. And like I said, for me, it struck like it was this, kind of 80s, very much older style of animation. And again, the I don't know if it's kind of it's a frame rate thing or something, but it has like a certain jerkiness to it that's not quite, it's not smooth like you would expect in a film. And I maybe that kind of plays in the back of my mind in terms of why it looks like that other animation. It might be similar in that beyond the the forms and things and how they're drawn, visually stunning. Yeah, I could agree with that. I actually, I don't know if you guys ever heard of there was a comic series called Magnus Robot Hunter. Robot Fighter, Magnus Robot Fighter, that came out in the 60s. I think it was a Gold Key comic originally, and then was picked up by Valiant Comics in the late 80s, when Jim Shooter was established Valiant Comics. And the robots in there, they're kind of similar, in terms of the initial part of the story. In that the robots were, it's a decadent society kind of thing, and the robots do all the work, and the humans are just kind of a bunch of, fops, and of course you have the rich humans, and then the underworld, or the low, world humans. And the thing that's similar about it is the way that the robots are drawn, because they're kind of like a classic 50s humanoid excuse me, humanoid robot. And that's like what the initial ones were. And like the ambassadors that came to the UN, they were that kind of form too. And I really actually love that kind of robot. And not, if you've seen Futurama, not unlike Bender. Welcome back, Snob.
Yeah.
So I did like that part of it. I'm stretching here. This is tough because,
All right, you were just talking about the.
I was just talking about Second Renaissance still.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next program. Okay, so this one is this one's kind of interesting. This is the feudal Japan one. You remember that one?
Yes.
What'd you think of the style?
I thought it was cool. I thought it looked cool.
Yeah, it looked great. I thought.
Yeah.
Really cool. Very much a sort of a classic Japanese, style from. So it follows a the protagonist is Sis, and she's going through her favorite training simulation, which is of course this battle in feudal Japan. She kills a bunch of cavalry. A lone male samurai appears, and she recognizes him as Duo, who I guess is someone she knows from the ship, the captain or something. Mm-hmm. So they fight as allies, and then Duo briefly disarms her, and then he tells her that he regrets taking the red pill, and that they should have a peaceful life. That he wants to, he wants to go back into the Matrix. Basically, it's the what's his name, Cypher from the original movie. Mm-hmm. I should go back a little. He says that he wants to talk to her and tell her something, and I guess they have some sort of romantic thing going on because she thinks, he's going to propose, they get married or live together or something like that. But he says he wants to, leave the Matrix, and he wants her to come with him. She thinks he's teasing, but he says he's serious, and she refuses, and he becomes, more aggressive and forceful. They argue, fight. She runs away. She tries to escape. She calls for an operator to try to get out, and he's like, "Oh no, I've blocked all communications, etc." She finally, he it looks like he has defeated her, and he's about to, chop her up, and she catches his sword, breaks the blade, and then stabs him with the end and kills him. And of course, Duo says he loves her as he bleeds out and died. Then she wakes up. It's obviously a program, and the Duo says it was a test program to test her loyalty. She passed the test. Of course, she's clearly upset about that, and punches Duo in the face as she's leaving the area of the ship to go to a room or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is not a very deep. It's again cool style. I like the samurai stuff a lot.
Yeah.
But in terms of the story, it doesn't have much relevance.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I like the animation style, the story. It's a short story. It's quick to the point.
Yeah.
Gives you everything. It shows a little bit of a slice. I enjoyed this one. Yeah, I thought it was good. Not much to. You're right. It doesn't add to the the world much, but you'd think that this would be a reasonable thing that they would try to do to test people. Kaiser was played by Joe DiMaggio. Who's Kaiser? Yeah, the guy who played Bender. But
who's Kaiser?
Is that from one of the characters from this?
Oh, it's in this one. It's I didn't realize. I'm just looking it up. That's the one of the people that was in that group way after that was doing the testing or whatever.
Oh yeah. The guy who talks afterwards, who says, "Wow, she did this." He says something to her. I can't remember what he says. Yeah. All right. Any comments about this one?
No.
Yeah, Kaiser remarks. Yeah, I say she passed after the other guy's wiping his chin. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
Not really.
No, okay. I thought this was a good little slice.
It was okay.
Well done. Done by a Japanese studio. Done by. Oh, sorry, I got it down here.
Well, again, I should be fair.
Madhouse.
There's nothing really wrong with it in itself. It's you're asking me to comment on a side story about something I don't care about. So that's why I'm indifferent to it. Not that it's bad in itself.
Yeah. So that was Madhouse Studios. Studio 4 Degrees C was the one who did the Second Renaissance. And Square USA did the Final Flight of the Osiris, which is also a Japanese company known as Squaresoft internationally. Yeah. So, okay. So the next one, World Record. Any thoughts about this one? The animation style.
Yeah, it's like another one. It's kind of that weird 90s animation style that I
jagged.
Yeah, and distorted.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I like that. I like that style. It's interesting. There's a comic book guy who does. I got one of his books. I suppose I meant to look it up, pull it out before. He has that sort of straight style. One of the he was initially part of Comicsgate and stuff like that. It's an interesting style. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, this one I think this was probably the one that I liked least.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's it's the upshot is that someone in the Matrix is becoming self-aware, um, and paralleling it with this in the Matrix track, meet, uh, paralleling his, awakening in the Matrix.
Yeah. I like this one because it kind of shows someone who's, this guy's got such willpower.
Mm-hmm.
He's able to, bend the Matrix to his will in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be the fastest. He can, be the fastest. Even when the physics of the game tell him that his legs aren't going to work, he still is able to make them work. It kind of, goes to the human spirit and being able to, defeat anything with your mind type of stuff.
Again, I don't mind the concept too much. I had a hard time staying awake through it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, again, I was fighting my way through this whole thing, so I think this, I'm trying to remember which I had to break this into. I did break it into 2 parts, so I guess I did get past that one, but anyway, again, none of concept fine. It's just
I thought this was overall this is a good short story compilation, for the Matrix.
mm-hmm.
They're all pretty well done.
Yeah, and I can't disagree. It's none of them. I'm like, oh, this is, well, I guess actually the one that I like the most, the Renaissance one is the one that has these weird contradictions in it. But and I think this is a neat idea. I like anthologies, and filling up. I typically don't mind side stories either, especially when they do fill some things out. But this one, for example, it's like, I don't know that, it's like I kind of already understand this idea, right? About humans that have awakened. So I'm not sure it's really.
But he hasn't really awakened though, right? Like he somehow he's able to affect the Matrix. I mean, he eventually becomes awake because of that, for sure, like somewhat. But he's not really aware. Like he's not, Neo or Trinity or these other Morpheus. They don't come to him and say, "Hey, you got to take the red pill," and you live in a simulation. He just sort of, control, like has some level of control over it. Very specific because of who he is, which is an interesting concept.
Right? I guess the next story I just like better in terms of that.
Oh, good story. Oh yeah, okay, we'll get to that. So let me just quickly this one. Basically, it's a runner. He breaks the world record. He's told that, oh, you failed the drug test, and he says, I don't care. I'm going to do it again. And then they say, well, if you do it, you're going to hurt yourself permanently. You'll never run again. He says, I don't care. He goes in the races again, and his muscles explode during the race, but he still keeps going. And that's when the agents are watching him, and they do something with a signal. He kind of goes out for a second, and he sees himself in the biopod things that we were before, and then he flips back and falls, trips and falls and rolls over. I mean, he's crossed the finish line already, and he's faster than he was before. And then the last scene is he's crippled in a wheelchair. He's got pins in his legs, and he's locked down and stuff, but he's like, he doesn't care. Then he gets up and he starts to walk again, and then collapses and whispers, "Free." It's the last thing he does when he falls down.
Are you familiar with Jonathan Livingston Seagull?
Jonathan Livingston's his Seagull? I didn't know.
Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It's a famous novella.
No, I have not read it.
Okay. It's kind of the same.
Yeah. So it's based on that.
I don't know if it was overtly, but it has certain similarities.
Yeah. He almost awakes in an unconventional way. Yes, this is very unconventional for most of them. Yeah. Oh, sorry, did you want to say more about that? No, I'm not aware of that novella.
Well, it's just, again, it's about a seagull that, is obsessed with flying, and like trying to be better and better and better. And then, he eventually reaches some sort of enlightenment, so it's it's very similar.
Yeah, in this case, the enlightenment is sort of seeing the real world, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I kind of enjoyed the sort of the scratchy, straight line angle type of drawing in this. It's different. I like seeing the different styles of animation in these things, and I didn't like the last Foot of the Osiris because it was just kind of very computer generated, boring sort of. Yeah. All right. This is sort of like, the human spirit. This gives us a little bit of hope that we can eventually, escape the Matrix, maybe. Some people at least. Now this one is a little bit similar to that story, but more so kid story. And this was written by the Wachowskis, and it's referred to again in the second Matrix movie part. At the start, they get back, and there's the kid who comes up to him. He's the kid that you see in the third Matrix movie a lot. He's like, Neo, oh, you saved me and stuff. And Neo says, you saved yourself, kid. But that is this story here. And you want to take this one? You said
Well, it's a little bit parallel to Neo himself.
Yes.
But he's just, kind of like he has these dreams and is getting he's kind of awakening or whatever, and he's realizing that something's not right and all that. So it's actually a pretty simple story. Again, I can't, but I did enjoy it, because I liked that concept of having it's like you almost know something, but you can't quite put your finger on what it is. And again, like I said, it's the same thing with Neo, and then you have these these agents after you, and you're running, and you with no real hope, but you're still doing it. I like that kind of theme, but it's really nothing new. Again, it's really just kind of the same thing.
So the kid escapes. The kid's trying to escape. He gets on the roof, and he jumps. He falls off the roof. He lets himself fall.
You actually see at the very beginning. We start with
later.
That.
Yeah, it's quite different between that Neo and how the kid awakens. There's some parallels because he's typing in. He's asking why it feels more real when he's dreaming than when he's awake, which are some of the things that we hear with Neo as well. He asks if he's alone, and someone says you're not alone. Anyway, so the kid falls off lets himself fall off the school, and right before he dies, it fades out, and he awakens in the real world to see Trinity and Neo watching over him. Presumably they've similar to what happened to Neo in the movie, they pulled him out of the pods there, and they've taken him up, and he's awakening on the ship. And this is kind of the interesting part. They remark that he's achieved self-substantiation, which is removing yourself from the Matrix without external aid, which everybody thinks is impossible.
So he's kind of surpasses Neo in that way.
Yeah. And, we see the kid in the Matrix Reloaded, and he says, "Oh, Neo, you saved me." And Neo goes, "No, you saved yourself." And, the kid did save himself. The kid pulls him out, pulls himself out of the Matrix. So, So, that's kind of a thread that's from the second movie, and it's somewhat closed up here. We find out what the story is with the kid. So, I thought that was interesting. I'm like, oh, that's what because you're referring to it. No, you kid, you saved yourself. I'm like, well, what's the deal with that? And of course, I watch this, and I'm going, oh, that's the kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
The style.
I thought it was good. It was kind of similar to the Second Renaissance, from remembering it right, that it had kind of a that 80s heavy metal. I don't know if that's exactly right, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I liked all the different styles. With, like I said, with the exception of, I wasn't a big fan of the Final Flight of the Osiris, just because it was kind of, very video game sort of,
Mhm.
high res, not super high res, but um, the yeah, it was just, it was just kind of boring compared. I like it a little bit more different styles. Um, that's why the kid didn't take a blue pill to get out. Neo wanted to know who Morpheus was. Yeah, that was his sort of thing. Who's Morpheus? And this kid is, knowing about Neo and Trinity. The next one is called A Detective Story. And this is a prequel. So this happens between when Trinity is out of the Matrix, but before Neo comes into the Matrix, which is why, we don't see anything about him. So this is her, I guess she's, doing her thing, trying to find Neo or whatever Morpheus gives her to do. Your thoughts about this one, this style?
I thought that it looked cool. I liked the style of it, but
Bit of a film noir style.
yes. But honestly, I don't know if I just didn't get this or it didn't go any. I mean, this one seems to almost not have a plot. It's just kind of like, look at this.
Yeah, this one, Postner's least favorite. I don't know if this is my least favorite, but I would agree with Cam that it doesn't, there's not much to it. So basically, this guy is a Sam Spade type private detective, Ash. Somebody hires him to find Trinity, which is, we find out, is the machines, of course. He finds out the last three detectives who tried to go to find Trinity. One is dead, another is missing, and the other one's insane. So he talks to them, and basically he finds Trinity eventually, and there's some references to Alice in Wonderland there, which is similar to the Matrix, into the Looking Glass sort of thing. You're going into Looking Glass, that kind of stuff. So there's a bit of a tie-in that way. Sorry, go ahead.
This one did make me start thinking about something though, and that is, the Matrix got way less interesting to me as soon as we found out what the real world wasn't this. The Matrix wasn't the real world. It immediately, I was like, oh, okay, it's this. I think again, if it was if it was planned as a 3-part thing from the beginning, I think it would have been more interesting that you were following Neo in the Matrix, and he's going around and doing all these things, and he thinks it's real, and he is developing, and interacting with Trinity and these other people, and that he's still in the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? Meaning still a prisoner. And that's why this one, it's like, it is interesting in the sense that, Trinity is dealing with these other people, these other humans that are in the Matrix,
Yeah.
that they don't know, and I don't know. I just find that more interesting as a concept, kind of. And so I think this one could have gone somewhere, and of course it just ended.
Yeah, it doesn't really go much anywhere. I think the first movie was made as a a standalone movie, and of course the second and third movies are really one movie. They just they're like, all right, we're gonna what is the thing? Let's go let's go from there. Let's sort of sum this up, and they did that with the second two movies. They were shot together as well.
Yeah.
So
well,
really...
I again, this is just pure speculation or Monday morning quarterbacking or something. But the nature of the story, if it was like you're building this rebellion within the Matrix, that there are people that are starting to wake up and they're acting against the machine from within the machine, and that they're not really. Yes, it would be a completely different story. Yes, a better story, in my opinion, is the point. Or just one that I prefer, would have preferred more.
All right. So,
I guess I don't need to go further. It's just that, I often think about stories like that. It's like, oh, they could have done something different with that, and I would have liked it more, so.
Yeah. So in this story, though. She proposes meeting Ash, and she meets him. She takes a bug out of his eye, similar to the one we see that Neo has in the movie. She pulls it out, and then 3 agents appear. There's a bit of a shootout. She's trying to escape. An agent takes over Ash's body. She shoots him, but doesn't kill him. He's wounded and bleeding, and then she takes off. And of course, we see the 3, the agents are looking at him while he's dying. He points his gun at them and lights a cigarette. Very, very, film noir.
Hard boiled.
The hard boiled, that Sam Spade sort of detective thing. And then, of course, he says, "A case to end all cases," as his lighter flame goes out. So this is kind of just sort of, just that kind. It's really that style of a detective story with, Trinity and that kind of thing pushed in there. I think.
Yeah, which again, I think that actually could be cool.
Yeah,
there could be all kinds of stories like this. Because again, they're running around in the Matrix doing all these things before we meet Neo, right?
Yeah.
And we see some of that.
Well, supposedly Morpheus is looking for the one, right? They don't know.
Sure, but that was kind of his specific thing. There are other groups that are doing other things in the Matrix, from the real world, linking in there and doing their
other ships,
things.
Other ships.
Yeah, and I. So it's not. I guess it's not really. It isn't really a different story. It's just the other things that would be happening around outside of Neo's story.
Yeah. There's going to be a bunch of different things going on for sure.
And again, presumably this, knowing at the end that this has happened a lot, many times, I guess. And
yeah, this is the 6th iteration.
Yeah, I don't remember how long that Morpheus has been around doing this, but for some time.
Morpheus says that they're. My read of it is that Morpheus says it's been, he says it's about 200 years since 1999 when the movie's in the first movie. So I'm assuming that each iteration is probably about 200 years.
That might be
roughly, because that would be the length of time that human Zion would have history of. So they would assume that they might.
Yeah, assuming they're just replaying the same.
Yeah, they've forgotten. Story. What happened before.
Right. Okay.
All right. Okay. So the last one.
I'm sorry. Just bottom line. So actually, I like the detective story thing as a model for the kinds of stories they could have had, but in itself is just kind of a vignette that doesn't really go anywhere or have any particular, relevance to anything else.
After this, when we're done, Cam, I'll talk about how I thought the Matrix, the 4th Matrix movie was a shit show. I'll tell you how I thought the movie should have gone, what they should have done.
Well, hold on. Okay, that's fine. Outpost, you said Resistance is shown to be a terrorist group to the people plugged in. Yeah, also kind of an interesting. I think that's interesting though. It's like these guys are freedom fighters, and you see. Obviously that's why the agents are after them. They're the man, they're the government or whatever. And so that, their enemies are terrorists. So that concept holds well, but I just think seeing it from, did I blip out?
Yeah, for a second.
Okay.
I don't think we missed any words though.
Seeing it from the viewpoint of inside the Matrix of knowing, we're not terrorists. We're fighting against this thing, that's maybe still a little bit nebulous to them, meaning they're not aware of the real world outside of it still.
Yeah.
Could have been cool. Because again, there was a little bit of that, that's kind of what, Neo, before he got pulled out, he had no concept of what was outside. He was fighting against the agents, or starting to at least within, having his mindset.
He's the typical, hacker who doesn't trust the government and all those kind of, the usual. There's something going on they're not telling us, etc.
Yeah.
All right. Matriculated. Now, when I first saw this one, I assumed that this one was taking place after the events of the movies, but there's no proof of that. Um, and it doesn't, it's not set. So, do you want to? I can summarize this, or do you want to do it?
Feel free.
Okay, so matriculated. There's a group of above ground human rebels who are living on the surface, which seems a little bit strange based on what we heard. But they lure machines to their laboratory. They capture them, and then they put them into their own kind of matrix, and they use that matrix to try to show some positive aspects of humanity, primarily compassion and empathy. And they hope that if they show this, show this to the machine, they'll adopt some of these abilities and become enlightened and willingly assist Zion and the humans in their in the struggle against the machine totalitarianism, which is dominating Earth right now. So the movie starts out with a woman. Her name's Alexa. She's looking out of the sea. There's two runner machines, which are their more intelligent ones, approaching. She lures them into the laboratory. One of them is killed, and the other one kills a robot, and then it's zapped and disabled. And then they put it into the matrix, and they have this, they go through this experience within the matrix, mystery, horror, wonder, excitement, and it seems to have, or believes it has, some sort of emotional bond with her, Alexa. Then the laboratory is attacked by Sentinel reinforcements, which these two runners they dropped the thing and called them. So they, the machines show up. The rebels unplug themselves. They defend themselves, and there's some other captured machines that help. The Alexa unplugs the runner, and he's been converted. There's a battle. Machines are destroyed. Humans are killed. He saves her from the runner saves Alexa from a machine, but she and he plugs in, to have some sort of emotional connection, I guess, some sort of connection with her. But she's dying. When she realizes she's trapped inside the matrix, she's horrified. She screams and dissolves, and then this runner, he exits the matrix and sees her dead in front of him in the real world, and in the runner, the converted machine, in a copy of the original shot of the vignette. He's there looking out over the sea, similar to how Alexa was when the thing started. So I thought that was your thoughts, Cam. Style.
Very psychedelic. This
Very
was another
psychedelic
one
in the Matrix. Yeah.
that I had a hard time getting through.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, again, coupled with the other thing, it's kind of a cool idea, that they're trying to, they're fighting in a different way or trying some other way.
Yeah.
To.
I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Way of doing it.
Again, an interesting concept, but it just kind of a lot of these just felt like it's like, okay, this is going on too long. I get it. Let's go.
Cam was not a fan.
No.
So this is I enjoyed this one. I thought it, showing that different side. The interesting thing to talk about would be at the end, the machine seems to have some sort of emotional connection to her because of this, but then she's dying and she sees it and she's like, and screams. And meanwhile, when she's sort of being playful with it, I mean, they all are, initially, so that maybe she didn't really feel that way about the machine. It's a little bit of a contradictory. I was surprised about that at the end when she sees the machine and she screams. I thought she'd be more calm and sort of like, oh, I'm dying, and then die or something like that. But anyway. whatever. That's not. It's neither here nor there. And then, I mean, it's kind of a bit of a poignant. He's at the end. He's looking out over the sea, and he's back in the position she was. But he's been released from the. He's realized that there's a better way. Maybe I kind of see the machines getting out of having a little bit out of the control of the AI that runs the whole the world basically now. They have individual. We've seen some of them. They've had individual. The programs. They have some individuality. They have sentience, it seems, but they kind of have to do what they're told. They don't have any real free will, right? I mean, in a sense, they're very. It's like living in a totalitarian dictatorship.
Yeah, I started to think about that honestly when I was watching Variety, because again, when you had these two, the two robots that showed up at the beginning or whatever, and like they were making gestures and stuff, and it was like I thought that they portrayed them like as individuals well, in the way just like they gestured and stuff like that, like they were actually having to communicate with each other rather than just being automatons. Because if they were, and they were just, why would they be communicating with each other in an overt way like that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I thought that was actually very effective to lead to where this story was going. But is that real? Is within the story? Is any of that actually there? I guess because this thing did become independent, but
yeah.
But once again, this idea would work really cool with some of these other things we were talking about. That there's this whole other level of approach to this that could be neat, but it just it doesn't go past this.
My thoughts of the way that in general how the things work within the Matrix rule with the machines is that it seems like there are. It's kind of distributed programming that maybe the AI doesn't have the clock cycles or whatever to run everything. So he sets up some autonomous stuff, mainly for higher functions, certain aspects, various programs or whatever. But it's kind of like, so some things are probably run by himself, very simple autonomous things, but things that take more, computing power, he might, push off to some sort of independent sentience, but they still live in a world that is very authoritarian. I mean, they've got to do what they're told. They fit into a certain slot. Here's your job, go do it. It's not like you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? Generally speaking, that doesn't happen. So, the machines are like this machine here, though it has the ability to be sentient. It doesn't. It's never gotten any other experiences. Like the runner in this, he probably, it's programmed to, find humans, kill them, etc. But like what is he doing? Has downtime. I mean, he doesn't, play cards with his buddies. He turn them off, right? So he's got these limited experiences. Doesn't have the opportunity to explore things like compassion and empathy and get feel excitement or wonder at something new or whatever, right? So, but that's just my own thoughts about how it might work. So this one's a little bit. It's seeing it the first time, I was like, oh, this is a little trippy. What's the deal here, right? Until the end, it's obvious. It's obvious they finally don't. They don't have. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. It's a little bit trippy, and it doesn't hit you right away exactly what they're trying to do. I mean, they're obviously trying to do something by putting it in a matrix, but how are they trying to get him to?
Well, so this is a little bit like the Star Trek episode with the Borg. They find Hugh, and it's like they remove him from that, and then suddenly, he's disconnected from the collective, and then he starts thinking on his own, and then they send him back to infect the rest of them, essentially. So again,
I think that's good. That's a good bit of an aspect of that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Machines don't have downtime. Well, they do if they don't have a task to do. Stop thinking of them in a human way. Hey, well, how else am I supposed to think of them? We're humans. We relate to ourselves.
I
Of
guess
course.
it's
What the
also
hell?
quite okay. That's funny that you mentioned about Anne Flux because it looked like Anne Flux.
Aeon Flux.
Yeah,
It had that sort of same look, the style.
yeah,
You mean?
yes, and I thought the what was the world record one also reminded me of that. But I lost my train of thought too.
All right. So overall, though, this collection of short stories. Again, I'm not usually a fan of anthologies. I tend to want like a novel from beginning to end, personally. But so I kind of avoid. I mean, I've read a fair number of them, and I'm usually lucky and I get some good ones. But I tend to avoid them just because I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of a snob.
I'm kind of the
But
opposite. I love anthology. I think many more IPs should have anthology stories.
I should go
This
into them more.
well, this isn't the show where we have mandatory things such as this, but I think that's one of the things I would disagree with my fellow Star Wars fans or former Star Wars fans um, about. Some people with whatever the new movies or other things, not the sequels necessarily that suck, and most fans agree on that. That it's like, oh, it's good about Luke, and it's like, well, no, not everything needs to be about Luke. This is it is a big galaxy out there with all kinds of things going on, and Rogue One, for example, is a good example of that. Rebels is a good example of that. Not everything has to be the Skywalker saga. The Skywalker saga was the main two segments of it for the original series and the prequels, but it's a big universe, right? You could do anything you want with it. Same thing with Star Trek. It doesn't always have to follow the Enterprise around exploring new worlds. There's all kinds of things going on in that universe. And I just find it kind of a waste when someone puts this rich framework out there and then, only ever looks at one tiny piece of it. That's
Yeah. The only problem is that the writers that they hire aren't intelligent enough to think
well, that,
outside, to write a good
yes.
story within. I mean, it should be easy. This is a rich world. You could do whatever, like if you're talking Star Wars or whatever. If it's a rich world, you
Well,
can do all
okay.
kinds of stuff, but they don't do it because they suck.
But Star Trek is the example. You can argue that Star Wars, outside of George Lucas, although some people didn't like stuff he did, even, um, went bad. But Star Trek had a wide variety of writers from the very beginning, right? It wasn't just one guy. I mean, it was one
Yeah,
guy's
yeah,
vision, but it went through. Well, I mean, most people would argue that through Voyager was decent at least, and maybe through Enterprise, and it's only the recent crap, and that was what, five different five five shows, and two movie series, with a whole lot of different writers, and they managed to keep it mostly on track. It's not that there aren't good and bad in there,
yeah, yeah. I would agree.
but you could certainly do it. It's when you have the mindset that, yeah, we're telling this and not letting some freak decide that they're going to transform an IP into whatever their personal fetish is.
Right.
So it can be done. But today I would agree. Yeah, it would be very hard,
Yeah,
to
that's my point. It's just we don't have the quality of writers. There's some sort of I need to put my stamp on this IP, i.e., change it to something that people, instead of understanding that this is an IP that you've been given and you need to respect it and do a good job with what within it and follow the rules of it, not make up your own ones. But yeah, that's the biggest problem with what's going on today, it seems. But
sure. Well, I'm sorry. Were you wrapping up? Because you skipped one here.
I did. Which did I skip?
Beyond.
Did I skip Beyond?
Yeah.
How the hell did I do that? All right. Oh, my mistake. Sorry. Why you should stop me? I went.
Well, I thought you might have had a different order.
No. I just skipped it. I was wrapping up, but I skipped Beyond. I apologize. Okay. Do you want to Beyond? Okay, so Beyond is a yeah. How did I miss that one? I don't know. I must have just. Okay, so Beyond is a story about a 14-year-old girl who's loses her cat. She's looking around the neighborhood, and there's some sort of city that they're in, which kind of resembles Tokyo, I guess. And there's a nearby haunted house where these various kids play, and apparently your cat plays too. So they go to the house, and there's all sorts of anomalies and glitches that are obviously, we know, that are glitches in the Matrix. They smash a bottle, and it then goes back into it smashes and then reforms itself. They jump into the air and float down towards the ground without touching it. There's a bird that flies through a certain area, and it goes into slow motion. All kinds of these various interesting anomalies. Kind of similar to Thor 2, where they're fooling around in that. Not quite the same, but somewhat similar. Yeah. So, and then meanwhile, while she's looking for a cat, these kids are doing this. She's the older kid. While this is going on, there's cuts to this, a computer screen like thing where it's obvious that area is, it's got air lights on, and we see some sort of big trucks and men in black types moving to that area. After they've had a good time having fun, a whole bunch of rats sort of show up all of a sudden, and then the men in black show up as sort of exterminators, and they basically hustle everyone out there. The girl, while she's kind of leaving or avoiding the agents, she opens a door, and you see this giant void, and then they hustle her out, and then they do whatever, and then the next sequence we see is that the haunted house is now some sort of parking lot or a storage open lot that stores some sort of construction material or something, and the kids are around, and they're all trying to recreate the various things that happened before unsuccessfully. Right? They're trying to throw these cans and stuff like that. So, did I miss anything there?
No, that's about it. I think it's I think it's interesting. This is again an interesting idea. Interesting concept. Doesn't really end up going anywhere, but
it's kind of a slice of life.
Yeah, and it was also very slow to me. I'm like, oh my god, please just get on with this. It's
oh man, Cam hated the movie.
It
was a little slow.
Yeah, so many of these were slow, and maybe I'm just this is pushing 25 years on, that maybe my mindset for storytelling. I don't think so, because I watch other shows and things, but these just seemed like, my god, you're just it's like, I get it. I don't need to see the beauty shots or whatever, So yeah, it was. The whole thing wasn't even that long. What was it, an hour, 40 minutes or something like that? And it seemed like it was.
It is 102 minutes. So
yeah, an
hour 42.
Yeah, so, but it seemed really long to me. It was.
No, I enjoyed it. I didn't feel like that, and I remember, of course, the Final Flight of the Osiris, the second Renaissance. I remember the running, the world record one, the guy running. I remembered Matriculated, but some of them I didn't remember, so it was good watching it again. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Okay, Cam, real quick, do you want to hear my idea for a Matrix?
Sure.
Instead of that fourth Matrix crap that we got.
I didn't see it.
I couldn't get through it. I watched it on TV or something, or I don't know, borrowed it from the library or something. I was just like, so I would do it like a prequel. That in the Matrix movies, the architect states that this is the sixth iteration of, I prefer to count from, this is the sixth time we've gone through this, where the one has, so I would do the first iteration, and highlight the differences. Use different actors, everything. I mean, you could use the same if you wanted, but call him something else. Maybe Neo looks the same all the time. But whatever you do, I would do the first. I would start off the thing really, really shocking. Like I would start out and all the character, you have a bunch of people, and then it would be like the Garden of Eden. They'd be all just running around naked and eating fruit off trees and all happy. And then all of a sudden, they would all kind of go crazy. And the whole thing would break down. They would scream horror movie. Because you notice that in the first movie, in the third movie, he talks, the architect talks about how, we had you set up in paradise and your minds couldn't take it and the thing collapsed. So I would do that. And I was assuming paradise means the Garden of Eden, right? Like that's the storyline. And then he says we set it up in another system and that didn't work. And then the Oracle figured out we had to do it this way. And then that worked. So I would I would show those two first with the Matrix collapsing, like in a very, horrific way. And then I would start the story, and it would basically be the story of Neo, the present kind of story. But it ends when, it ends with you taking, what do they say, 17 females and 9 males or something like that. And the difference between this iteration and the other iterations was that Neo feels love for Trinity as opposed to just feeling a general love for humanity, right? And of course, the Oracle has, we know from the story, the Oracle has engineered this, that he'll meet Trinity and they'll fall in love so that, she can break out of the cycle that's been going on. So I think a prequel would be good to do for the Matrix. Okay. No comment. That's a great idea. Stupid idea.
It's okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's it. It would be worth thinking about, I suppose. But again, I don't really care if I ever see anything Matrix again. So
Neo loved Trinity more than humanity. Yeah, basically that's the difference. He didn't care about humanity as much as he cared about Trinity.
I okay. Well, like I said, I didn't see the last movie, so it.
You really should see the Trinity death scene. Longest death scene in a movie ever. By the time you're finished watching it, you're just like, why won't she just die? Damn it! How long is she gonna be gasping like this? Just die! God damn it! Get on with the rest of the movie. It's pretty funny.
I was thinking about this because I was playing this game yesterday, and it's like, well, we should watch Speed Racer movie.
Speed Racer.
Yeah. Maybe have you seen it?
Also
by the Wachowski brothers?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, well then
we're doing our Wachowski sisters thing. Is it available free?
That I don't know. I'm trying to remember where I saw it.
Let's put a pin in it, and we'll look it up for next time. I'm open. I'm open to.
I think we should talk about Speed Racer more in terms of sci-fi in general. So, all right. Well, I have to watch it then. All right, we'll put a pin in it, and maybe that's upcoming stuff. If you like Speed Racer, we'll be looking into that. All right. Is there any last minute? Let me just check my notes. I think we've gone through it. Overall, I enjoyed the Animatrix. I like the Matrix in general. I think it's an interesting concept. It's not completely out there, but when the movie did it, it wasn't as well known. This idea that we'd be stuck in a computer, simulation, and they did a really good job of presenting it in the movie. The way they reveal it. There's some chick and she's doing all these amazing things. What's going on here? Like the way you see it from the audience perspective is quite interesting. I saw it at a second run movie theater back when we had those. I was with my buddy. We were out, and he's like, we go by and there's movies.
goes, "Hey, have you ever seen The Matrix?" I go, "I didn't see that movie. No, I hadn't seen it. You believe it? I was probably out, with the army doing training or something like that." And he's like, "Oh, you got to see it." So I get in, and the movie had already started, so I missed the first minute or two. But I'm seeing Trinity run across these roofs and jump really far, and then she goes into a phone booth and puts the phone to her head and disappears. I'm like, what
Right.
the F is going on in this movie? What the hell is going on? Right. So I have no, I mean, I didn't
See
miss anything.
that's what I was referring to earlier, though. That stuff was cool, and it ended too
Yeah.
quick for me. You know.
How can you do all these amazing things and what the disappears? And they're all like, "Oh, find her," and stuff. I'm like, what the hell? And I knew nothing about the movie. I hadn't seen a trailer, nothing, no idea. And it says The Matrix. Well, that's kind of Matrix is just array of. I'm like, oh, what is it? A numbers? What is this movie? It's a bunch of numbers and shit. Like a spreadsheet, right? Like you don't. I don't know anything about it, but yeah. Then I was like, wow, this is a great concept. Well done.
Yeah.
I suppose you could have done it. You could have done it your way.
I thought the first movie was, back in the day, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. This is interesting. It seemed different and everything, but like I said, I quickly lost interest.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, all right, we're going to end before 2 hours.
Why is that?
Let's go up. What do you mean? Why did I lose interest?
Why did you lose interest?
Because I don't know, the second movie. Maybe I don't know. I guess I can't go back in time and remember. I just remember that I saw the second movie and I was like, that it got. I guess I didn't like where they were going with it, and the whole recycled thing. It had the two levels. It's like, okay, that's a reveal. It's like, oh, the real world's this and everything, and I don't know. I just, like I said, I would have preferred that they kind of dealt with the in Matrix thing more, because honestly, the real world stuff. It's not that mysterious. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, the press of machines, and great. Now what?
A couple of years after The Matrix came out, before the other movies came out, I was reading, when the internet was young, I was online and some guy put his, I think it was his English thesis paper for his bachelor's or master's or something, and it was about Christian imagery in The Matrix. And I read it. It's probably still out there. I read it somewhere in 2000, 1999, somewhere around there. And it's pretty interesting. He did an analysis about all the Christian imagery.
JT, my undiagnosed ADHD. What?
Cam just hates everything. That's all.
No, if anything, it's worse now. It would be worse now. The first time I saw this, I didn't remember being so impatient with the Animatrix, for example. Now I'm just like, get this crap out of my face. Maybe I have other things to do. I don't know.
All right, what's going on? What do we got coming up?
Beats
what
me.
Do you got coming up? Beats me. Oh, we've got episode 4 on Discord. I'll jump in the Discord after. Anybody wants to jump in the Discord, hang out after the show, I'll jump in there for a little bit. Coming up on the show, Babylon 5 this Wednesday. We've got episode 4, I think. Is that the one we're on?
Yes.
Cam.
Yes.
And it's called Falling Towards Apotheosis. Hey, I pronounced it correctly for a change. And what else? Next week on the show, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what we'll do next week. I'll have to figure something out. But we'll look into Speed Racer for maybe the next movie night, which should be in like 4 weeks. I don't have anything planned. I mean, I got a list of different stuff, but yeah. We'll look at that one. I think that's anything else. Cam, did you want to mention anything?
Yeah, I want to talk more about this board game just so I can upset Outpost Nerd.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, okay, the first expansion is called Tunnel Vision, and then the second one. I'm just kidding.
It's got tunnels.
Yeah, there are tunnels. In fact, yeah.
Cool.
That's what I'm gonna do on a sort of channel. It's just gonna be playthroughs of Heat. I'm gonna.
You get a new channel.
Go all in on
Put
that.
it on. Yeah, go all in. All right. Okay. Is that it? Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, that's it. Thanks everybody for coming by and listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. Even Cam's negativity trying to stay awake.
Well,
wait.
I do apologize. I don't want to be down on things, and I'm sure that not caring didn't make for a particularly interesting set of insights. But what am I going to do? Lie about it? It's not like we're getting.
Yes, lie.
It's not like I got to work. I could say two stupid words, and get far more engagement.
And I love The Rise of Skywalker. It was the best movie ever.
Right.
Make $1 trillion. I was going to. We almost forgot jokes. We got to have jokes. Did you know, Cam, that Keanu Reeves was offered the lead role in that Will Smith movie, The Wild Wild West? He turned it down to do the Matrix. He really dodged a bullet there.
I get it.
Get it? All right. Only 2. Last one. Hey, see, JT liked it. He said it was a great show. Right on. Thanks. Appreciate that. How do you heal burns in the Matrix? Get a burn, you.
I don't know. How do you heal burns in the Matrix?
Oh, come on, Cam. Neosporin.
That's hilarious.
That's good. All right. Okay. Thanks, everybody. There's your 2 jokes. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next week for something science fiction related. Who knows what it'll be? Hopefully we'll figure it out before the show. Boo, bad jokes. They're supposed to be bad. If Cam laughs, then I lose. If he doesn't laugh, I win. All right. Good night, everybody. And we'll see you on Wednesday and hopefully next Sunday as well. Stay tuned for a pop-up snob. It could hop up at any time. Who knows? And of course, I'll be on Tuesday. I'll be on Al's channel. Oh, you giggled. Oh, damn. I got to find worse jokes. I'll be on Madman Show on Tuesday for whatever we're talking about. I forget. It's something we're talking about. We're talking about, merger deals, the Spielberg movie, stuff like that. Yeah. All right. Oh, B-Bucks just popped in. All right. You can maybe catch the show later. Oh, Neutron was hiding on the thing. Oh, good. Good to see you. All right.
Oh my gosh, you got now finally people
everybody's coming out.
What is going on?
I didn't want to say anything. I don't want anyone to know I watch your show. Hide it to the end. All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Good night.